All right. And we are back. Fly Navarro from Fly Zone Fishing, Sam Peters from Release Marine. We're going to talk about now fighting a fish while you're in the chair. One of the biggest things, Sam, that I always tell everybody is you are fighting the fish with the rod, not the reel. This is a lever. The reel, all it is, it's designed to dispense and retrieve line at a predetermined drag.
Yes.
That's all it is. It is not a winch.
Yeah.
You are fighting the fish with this rod. If your arm gets tired because you're trying to winch the fish in, you're doing it wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now you're in the chair and the fish is out there. What are you doing, Sam?
You know, I would say in doing this for a good long period of time, there's basically two scenarios that you see play out, I would say 90% of the time. One is you've got a lot of line out, you got a fish on the surface and you want to back up and you want to get a tag or a gaff in that fish, which means you may have to wind in 300 or 400 yards of line or a big belly in the line. And what I see people do a lot, and there would be no pressure on your rod because you're going backwards. I see people sitting in the chair and they're way back here doing this, and they're winding and they're going like this and like this and like this. And I'm going to tell you something.
Wasted energy.
It is so much wasted energy. I have seen so many anglers get burned out in the first minute because their fish is out there and they're back here winding like this. And I've told people a lot of this, that if you're a swimmer or somebody that's conserving body energy, swimming or any type sport, if you take your two hands together and you put them together and you push out here, you'll find that you have very little force. If you bring those two hands into your chest and press them together, you got 4 times the amount of pressure, but mostly you're not wearing yourself out. So if I'm in a situation where I've got a fish that's pretty far away from the boat and I know Cappy's getting ready to come back 300, I'll put a foot there and I'll drop a foot on the deck. I'll lower that tip and I will put the right shoulder as close to this reel as I can get it. And I will begin to wind, and I can wind 400, 500, 600 yards of line as long as I'm on top of the reel. If I'm back here, I am literally wearing this arm completely out in a moment's notice. So that would be a quick gathering line situation. The other one that we talked about just a minute ago was you got one, she's down digging, and she's deep and she's big. And you know, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna allow the rhythm of the ocean. You're gonna have a swell. A lot of times it'll lift and use that boat, and I'll time the swells to actually pump that fish up, wind him up a little bit. Pump him up, get a wind. And I'm never working against the reel. I'm always getting a good free crank. You know what I mean? It's always a free crank. It's never fighting a crank. Sometimes you'll catch yourself, you'll go to get a crank and you're not getting it. And that's just bad timing, and it'll wear you out. You do that 10, 15 times, your arm's shot. So you gotta be really careful to get good free, and one crank, a half a crank. I always lay my hand in the reel, and the reason I do that is when I do get a crank, I lock the spool down. And then I'll get another crank and lock the spool down, so I don't lose any of that line I just got. A lot of times I'm gonna be somewhere between 25, 28, 32, and a bigger fish will actually be slipping line off the reel at 32. So I put 3 pounds with my fingers there and just keep getting a little bit, a little bit, and a little bit.
One of the things that I've noticed, even a big fish that goes down, even if you're just getting 2 or 3 inches at a time, 2 or 3 inches starts turning into 4 to 5 inches, starts turning into 8 to 10 inches. You get that fish into a rhythm of now it's coming up. You've got it going in your direction and you just keep it coming.
Yeah.
You got to start from somewhere.
One thing that I love from going to Australia quite a bit is to watch boat handling in Australia versus boat handling in America. And I fish with Hayden Bell down there quite a bit, and what I see from Hayden, he will not sit on a big fish for 15, 20 seconds. If he sees that fish settle in, he will back that boat around and go to the other side, try to pull that line across that fish's eye or pull on it in a different direction. You get an 800 pounder laid over in the current, I don't care what you got. 60, 70 pounds of drag, she's not gonna budge. You back over her, 175 yards that way and drag some line over her eye, she's coming up. and
Do
they'll
not
make her jump.
Do not let her get comfortable.
Do not ever let a big one get comfortable, no matter what. Back around, back over, make a bunch of noise, and then put a lot of heat on them. And generally, they'll break pretty quick if you're moving the boat around quite a bit. And then the angler comes into that, you know. I might have 8 pounds on here, and I might be really laying the cord to it, you know, and I'll feel her give. And the minute she gives, that's when I really want to get short stroking her and really get her coming my way.
Get her going in your rhythm.
Get her going in my direction and pull her my way. A lot like a tarpon. If you can roll that head over, put that rod low in the water and roll that head over, that tarpon will give up like that. You let that tarpon stay that way, fight it for an hour.
Yeah, we want to catch them as fast as possible.
Fast as we can get them.
Well, there you have it. Again, thanks for joining us here in the Fly Zone.